We're about a quarter of the way through the NBA season right now, and the Toronto Raptors have proven themselves to not be a particularly good team at this stage in the campaign. They're hanging around the bottom three or so in the Eastern Conference, and they're around the bottom five or bottom six in the league as a whole. So they have not gotten off to a fantastic start here. However, the team has proven itself to be especially bad on the road so far this season, having just one road win and holding the lowest win percentage in away games in the league. Now, the Raptors are obviously not the only team in the league struggling to win road games. Teams like the Hornets, the Wizards, the Pelicans have comparable issues playing away from their home stadiums. But the Raptors, as of right now, stand out as the worst in terms of total games played on the road and obviously lowest win percentage. The question is, why? Why are the Raptors so bad away from their home arena? And to get that answer, we're going to take a look at the statistics for the team in terms of its home and away splits. And we'll start on the defensive end, because the most obvious culprit here is that the team plays bad defense away from home versus at home. Unfortunately, the stats don't really support that too much. Now, the Raptors defense is not fantastic. Let's get that out of the way first. But as you can see coming up on your screen right about now, these splits are relatively even. Field goals, field goal attempts, field goal percentage, all comparable. We see a little bit of a difference here in terms of three-point shooting. On the road, they give up about 3 more three-pointers a game. They give up far more attempts. The percentage stays relatively similar, but they are giving up more volume on the road. But then after that, not really a whole lot here. There's a difference in free throws, but that's a difference that actually favors their road defense versus home. Rebounds, assists, points, all comparable, right? So we see a negligible difference in most categories other than three-point shooting, or in some categories, the defense is technically better on the road than at home. So perhaps we found our culprit right away. Maybe it is those extra three-pointers that the defense is allowing on the road versus at home that's accounting for all of these losses. But before we sort of, put a pin in this, let's take a look at the stats on the offensive side and see if there's, something else that could explain the win-loss on the road. So, taking a look at the offensive statistics, those should be coming up on your screen now as well. You can see kind of a similar pattern to what we saw with the defense. A lot of numbers that are pretty close together. Field goals, attempts, percentage, all comparable. You can say something similar for three-point shooting here as well. Not a crazy difference. We do see a big difference here in terms of the free throws, though. Right? Nearly 8 more free throws made and free throws attempted at home versus away. And really, that's the only major difference that we're seeing here. Rebounds, assists, pretty similar. The points have a bit of a difference between them. 117.3 versus 109.3. About 8 more points per game at home than on the road. A number that corresponds almost perfectly to the difference in free throw shooting as well. So they make 8 more free throws per game at home than they do away. They score 8 more points per game at home than they do away. So maybe that is the answer there, right? It's the fact that the free throw numbers are so different between home and away that's causing all of these road losses for the Raptors. Is it that? Is it the three-point shooting? What is the cause here for the Raptors? Well, the answer, and I'm sure you've probably already guessed this, especially if you've seen really any video that I've put out before, is that there is no singular answer. It is not down to one thing. It's not just the free throws that they're not getting on the road. It's not just the three-pointers that they're giving up on the defensive end. It's a mix of everything, including injuries to some of their starters, right? Scotty Barnes has missed a decent amount of games for the Raptors this season. Emmanuel Quickley has missed even more than Barnes has. So the rotations have had to shift pretty consistently for Toronto. The point here is that to chalk all of this up, this big disparity between home wins and road wins, to just one thing, to them getting calls at home that they don't get on the road, or to giving up, a few more threes in away games than home games, is massively oversimplifying based on just a single statistical trend, right? It really cannot be just one thing causing them to have such a lousy road record here. That's not the point that I'm making. The point that I am making, though, is that the Raptors present, statistically speaking, a little bit of an anomaly, right? Normally, when a team has this big difference between its record at home versus away, that's reflected in the stats in a way that's relatively obvious, right? A disparity in the win-loss record gets sort of passed down through their stats. They score fewer points by a wide margin on the road. They're way less efficient on the road versus at home. Their defense is giving up, double-digit differences in points away versus at home. Things like that. Things that make it obvious to see why a team can win in their own building and not in someone else's. We're not really seeing that with the Raptors. You saw how close those numbers were. There's a slight disparity in free throw shooting on the offensive end and three-pointers allowed on the defensive end, but not really a statistically relevant difference in any other category, which is not helpful to the Raptors, right? They're still losing these road games, but it is strange to see that their splits look so even despite the fact that they've only won a single game on the road. So really, that's all I had. There's no greater point to be made here. It's just a bit of a statistical anomaly that I wanted to point out, but at the end of the day, it results in the Raptors being one of the bottom teams in the league. And I guess that leads into the question for you all. Do you believe that Toronto can turn this around? Can they fix this? Can they even out their road record in some fashion? Do you think that the return full-time of guys like Barnes and Quickly can help to alleviate those issues, or is a bad road record, is a bad split between home and away something that's just going to plague this team for the rest of the season? And I suppose also, how does the rest of the season look for the Raptors, right? They're one of the bottom teams in the league. Do you believe they should continue to fight and make a push to try and, I don't know, maybe make a play-in spot? Or is this a scenario where they should, I don't want to say tank outright, but maybe start looking at their draft position and at their future roster construction? But either way, please feel free to let me know what you think. But other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I will talk to you later.